In a lush, green corner of the world, far from the roaring cities and silent deserts, there was a magnificent rainforest known as Virunga Verde. The trees were so tall they tickled the clouds, and the rivers so clear they mirrored the stars at night. It was home to creatures of all kinds: striped tigers, chatty parrots, leaping lemurs, slow-moving sloths, and wise old elephants. But the forest had begun to whisper. It wasn't the usual rustle of leaves or the songs of birds. No, these were whispers of worry, carried on the wind like secrets. The animals felt it. The trees felt it. Even the earth beneath them seemed to tremble now and then. In a large fig tree at the heart of the forest lived a brilliant green parrot named Pico. Pico was known as the newskeeper of Virunga Verde. He had the sharpest eyes and the fastest wings, and he spent his days flying from treetop to treetop, gathering news. One misty morning, Pico flapped into a clearing where the animals were holding their weekly forest forum. A jaguar named Juma, with a coat like a painting, presided over the forum. Beside her stood Baku the elephant, aged and wise, and Timi the monkey, who always had something silly to say. "The humans are cutting more trees," Pico cried, his feathers ruffled from his flight. "Big machines, big noise, the eastern border is shrinking." Gasps and growls spread through the crowd. A toucan fluttered down from a tree. "My cousin's tree was chopped down yesterday. She barely escaped." Baku rumbled low. "This is not the way. We must find a way to speak to the humans. They must know what their actions are doing." "But how?" asked Juma. "They do not hear us. They do not see our homes. They see only wood and land." Pico tilted his head. "Perhaps they do not listen because we've never truly spoken." "What do you mean?" asked Timmy, scratching his head. "We need help," Pico said. "Someone who walks in both our worlds, someone who can understand the forest and the humans." Far from Virunga Verde, across oceans and cities, in a bustling global city called Newbridge, lived 5 children from different parts of the world. They had met at the United Nations Youth Climate Summit, where children from every continent had gathered to share ideas on protecting the planet. There was Arav from India, a boy who loved technology and wore glasses that always slid down his nose. Layla from Brazil was a spirited girl who could name every plant in the Amazon. Maya from Kenya loved animals and was training to be a young wildlife ambassador. Omi from Canada was quiet but strong and knew how to read the stars and skies like an old sailor. And finally, Amira, a Syrian refugee now living in Germany, who had learned that even small voices could make big changes. They were chosen by the UN's Global Environmental Team to be part of a special youth program called Guardians of Green. Their mission? To travel to endangered ecosystems and listen not just to scientists, but to the whispers of nature. When the forest whispers of Virunga Verde reached the ears of a UN climate ambassador named Dr. Lucia Morales, she immediately thought of the 5 guardians. "This forest is dying," she told them in a video call. "But more than that, it's trying to communicate. We need you to go there, listen, learn, and help us make the world listen too." Layla's eyes sparkled. "The jungle is my second home." Arav leaned closer to his screen. "If there's a pattern to this deforestation, maybe I can track it with satellite data." "I just want to hear what the animals are saying," Maya whispered. I want to help, Tommy added softly. We all do, said Amira, because this is our Earth, all of ours. Within days, the children were on a UN-sponsored ecoplane heading to the Virunga Verde region, with rangers and environmental scientists waiting to guide them. What they didn't know was that the forest had already chosen them, and deep in the heart of the jungle, the animals were preparing too. Back in the forest, Baku, the elephant, called upon an ancient rite known only to the elders, the call of the canopy. When performed, it summoned not just animals and birds, but also the hidden spirit of the forest, the essence of Earth. That evening, as the sunset painted the sky in amber and rose, creatures from all corners gathered under the great tree. Fireflies lit up the air, and the frogs hummed a rhythm like drums in the dark. Baku raised his trunk. Today we call upon the old magic, he boomed. Pico soared above, squawking the ancient chant. The forest cries, the trees fall, let the bond be awakened. From the soil a green mist rose. From the rivers a soft humming began. And from the heart of the great tree a soft light glowed. Out stepped a glowing figure, being made of vines and mist, shaped like a woman and a tiger and a tree all at once. I am Gaia's whisper, said the spirit, and I have heard the forest's sorrow. But the humans do not understand your cries. You must bring the children of Earth to me. Only they can carry the message. Where will we find them? Asked Juma. They are already on their way, said Gaia's whisper, and when they arrive, the forest will reveal its secrets if they are brave enough to listen. When the children landed near the forest, they were welcomed by Dr. Morales and local rangers. They traveled deep into Virunga Verde on solar-powered jeeps until even the roads gave way to vines and roots. This is unreal, said Tommy, looking up at the towering trees. I feel like the forest is watching us, Amira murmured. And it was. Suddenly, a streak of green flashed before them. Pico, the parrot, circled overhead, squawking in a pattern. Is he guiding us? Layla asked. They followed the parrot deeper into the forest, leaving their guide behind, drawn by something stronger than logic, an invisible thread of connection. The path twisted and turned until it opened into a glowing grove they couldn't have found on any map. There stood Gaia's whisper. You have come, she said. You have been chosen not by chance, but by purpose. The children stood wide-eyed. Maya stepped forward. You're real. I am the voice of all forests, Gaia said, and I need your help. The forest is dying. Animals are fleeing. The balance is broken. Arav looked at his tablet. I've been tracking the tree loss. The rate has doubled in the last year. Why? Asked Layla. Why do people keep cutting down so much? Greed, said Gaia, and sometimes ignorance. Not all humans are cruel, but many do not understand the cost of their actions. The children looked around, trees with cut marks, animal tracks leading away, birds circling in confusion. What can we do? Asked Amira. Gaia's form shimmered. Each of you has a gift: technology, knowledge, voice, empathy, courage. Use them. Unite the forest and the world. Tell your leaders, tell the UN. But first, listen to those who live here. Hear their stories, then speak for them. And with a rustle, she vanished. For the next several days, the children stayed in the forest, guided by Pico and the animals. They met Tula, a howler monkey whose family's tree had been cut down to make way for illegal roads. "My babies had nowhere to sleep," she cried. They met Ravi, a tiger cub whose mother had vanished when their territory was destroyed. "She told me to hide in the hollow tree," he whispered. They met Anara, an ancient owl who remembered when the forest stretched past the mountains. They called it progress. I called it disappearance. The children listened. They sketched. They recorded. They cried. At night, they sat around a solar lantern and shared what they'd learned. "We need to tell the world," said Maya. "But will they listen?" asked Tommy. "We'll make them," said Layla fiercely. Erav nodded. "I can create a real-time forest loss tracker," Amira smiled. "And I'll write our story in every language I know." Together, they began building Project Earth Voicea digital platform, a video diary, a data map, and most importantly, a message. The children, energized by their mission, worked with local rangers and scientists to record every story they heard. Arav's tracker pinged every time another acre of forest vanished. They added maps, photos, and videos of the animals they'd met. They even interviewed local villagers. Some had no idea how harmful logging had become. Others were desperate for jobs and had no other option. "If we had another way to earn," one man said, "we wouldn't touch the trees." The children saw the truth. Solving deforestation wasn't just about saving trees, it was about helping people too. They sent their findings to Dr. Morales, who presented it to the UN Environmental Council. A special assembly was called. The children were invited to speak. The children traveled to New York, their hearts pounding. They walked into the Grand Hall of the United Nations, where leaders from every country had gathered. One by one, they spoke. Arav showed the data. In just 5 years, we've lost over 50 million acres of rainforest. Layla spoke of biodiversity. When one tree falls, hundreds of lives are affected. Maya told the stories of the animals. We must speak for those who cannot. Tommy spoke about indigenous knowledge. They have protected the forests for centuries. We must listen to them. And Amira ended with hope. We are not asking for change. We are creating it. Will you join us? The assembly was silent. Then came a thunderous applause. Inspired by the children, the UN passed a new resolution, the Global Green Pact. Countries pledged to reduce deforestation, invest in reforestation, support sustainable industries, and empower local communities. The children became global ambassadors, visiting schools, communities, and even boardrooms to spread awareness. Back in Virunga Verde, animals noticed the change. Logging slowed, rangers increased, and seeds were planted, millions of them. Gaia's whisper appeared once more. You have done well. The earth is listening again. The children, now known worldwide as the Voices of the Forest, promise to keep fighting for every tree, every creature, and every child yet to be born. Epilogue. One earth, one voice. Years later, a new group of children stood beneath the great tree of Virunga Verde. They had come from all over the world, inspired by a story they had once read or heard. And high above them, an old green parrot named Pico flew in wide circles, smiling at the legacy of hope that had taken root. Because the forest was not just trees, it was memory, it was future, it was life. and its voice would never be silenced again.